Hi friends, welcome to my BAMU'S Biogenius YouTube channel. Today we will discuss about adherence junctions. As we have seen that junctions are very important for cell to cell connection. The second one is adherence junction, and this topic is very important for UG and PG students. So stay tuned for adherence junctions. Now we will discuss about the types of junctions. These There are five different types of junctions, but the main types of junctions are actually these one, that is occluding junctions, anchoring junctions, and communicating junctions. Occluding junctions means the that junctions which do not allow passage of any kind of a material through it, so that's why the name, that is occluding junction or a tight junctions. The second one is a anchoring junction. Anchoring junctions are of three types: adherence junctions, desmosomes, and hemidesmosomes. Then the last one is a communicating junction, that is gap junctions. So these anchoring junctions are that we have to study in this video. That the first one among anchoring junction is adherence junctions. As we know that as a multicellular animals evolved, a kind of connection that remained in between them. That connection is with the help of certain kinds of a protein, and these proteins, they provided a kind of adhesion to cells with the neighboring cells, and these proteins are called as adhesion proteins. The junctions formed by them is called as adherence junctions. So that we have to discuss in this particular video. Now we will discuss about the occurrence of adherent junctions. Adherent junctions first occur, or we can say that first they are formed in a embryo or embryonic stages of organism, multicellular organism, where they are like anchoring junction. They hold cells together, and during the development, and we know that the zygote develops into a multicellular morula, blastula, and gastrula, like that. And after that, gastrula shows the kind of a morphogenetic movements. So in these type of movements, these anchoring junctions or adherent junctions are very helpful to hold the cells together. So basically, these adherent junctions are anchoring junctions, and they are responsible for holding the epithelial cells or endothelial cells together. You can see here the position of adherent junction is just below the tight junctions. You can see if this is the epithelial cells, this is the apical side. On these apical on this apical side, tight junctions are formed. Just below the tight junctions, these adherent junctions are there. Now, as we have seen in a previous slide, the position of adherent junction is just below the tight junctions. It is on the apical side of the epithelial cells. These adherent junctions, sometimes they form a kind of a belt-like structure. This belt-like structure is called as an adhesion belt, and these adhesion belts are made up of condensed cytoplasmic actin filaments, and these belts are present on the inner side of the plasma membrane in cytoplasmic side, and they form a continuous belt-like structure around the epithelial cells. And these adherent junctions, you can see here, they are adhesion belts of the neighboring cells. They are attached together with each other. So this is known as adherence junctions. Now you can see here that these adherent junctions, they form a kind of a zone like structure, so that's why they are also called as a zonula adherents. And according to the morphology of the cell, the size and the pattern of these adherent junctions, that also changes. For example, in case of a fibroblastic cells, these adherent junctions are in the form of a small patch like structures, or in case of the nerve cells, you will find that these adherent junctions are very tiny, small areas in which these adherent junctions are present. So this is the position of adherence junctions in epithelial cells. Now we will discuss about the composition of proteins in a adherent junction. As we have seen in case of tight junctions are made up of proteins. Similarly, adherent junctions are also made up of proteins. The first important protein that is cadherin. These cadherins are the transmembrane structural glycoproteins. They are calcium dependent, and that's why the name is given as a calcium dependent adhering protein. So these cadherins are first appeared in the animal world. You will not find these cadherins in case of plants and fungus. These are exclusively found in animal world. So these cadherins are a kind of protein molecules that are calcium dependent, and these cadherins are found in a single celled animal, that is choanoflagellates. We know that choanoflagellates, they are found in a unicellular form as well as in a multicellular form. So in these choanoflagellates we see cadherins. There are a number of types of cadherins. Mostly the type is dependent upon the cell in which these cadherins are present. In case of E cadherins are present in the epithelial cells. That's why these are called as E cadherins. Then there are N cadherins. N cadherins are present in the nerve cells, so they are called as N cadherins. Then some cadherins, they are present in placenta or epidermis, and such a type of cadherins are called as the P cadherins. Now, these cadherins are a transmembrane protein. Its one aim, that is the extracellular domain, is interacting with, or it interacts with the extracellular domain of the cadherin of the neighboring cell. And internally, or on the cytoplasmic side, these cadherins interact with the catenins. Now, there are three different types of catenins. These three different types of catenins are P120 catenin, beta catenin, and alpha catenin. Along with the catenin, another type of a protein that is also involved, that is known as a vinculin. So these proteins are the cytoplasmic proteins. They are present on the cytoplasmic domain of the catenins. Now these catenins interact with the actin filaments, actin microfilaments. So this is how a chain of cadherin, catenin, and microfilament is there, which interacts with the chain of the cadherin, catenin microfilament of the another cell. So this is how the two cells, they are joined together with the help of adherence junctions. You can see here the target molecule is a cadherin and adhesive protein is a cadherin. So cadherin interaction of the neighboring cell that takes place, and cytoplasmic proteins, that catenin and vinculin is there, they are interacting with the cytoskeletal filaments, that is actin. Now we will discuss about the structure of adherent junctions. As I have told you that these adherent junctions, they form a belt-like structure around the cell, or sometimes these adherent junctions are formed in the form of spot-like attachments with the extracellular matrix. Now these you can see here, this is how that the proteins that are present in formation of adherent junctions, they are arranged in such a manner that the cadherins of the neighboring cells, they interact with each other homophilically, and for this interaction calcium is needed, so that's why it is called as a calcium dependent adhering proteins. So in presence of calcium, these cadherins will attach with each other, forming a strong kind of a bond between the neighboring cells. Now these cadherins, This is the extracellular domain, which is on the extracellular side of the cell. On the intracellular domain or on the cytoplasmic domain, these catenins they interact with the catenin P120. In turn, this catenin P120 interact with the beta catenin, and this beta catenin in turn interact with the alpha catenin. This alpha catenin is responsible for forming a connection with the cytoskeletal network of actin filaments. So this is how the cytoskeletal framework of one cell is attached with the cytoskeletal framework of another cell via these particular proteins of the adherence junctions. Now, when the cells were treated with the EDTA solution is known for chelating the calcium ions and nullifying the effects of calcium. It has been found that these cells were not able to separate from each other. That means, or this proved that certain kinds of calcium independent proteins are also involved in cell adhesion, or we can say that forming adherence junction. Now these proteins are isolated and these are named as nectin proteins. So these nectin proteins are calcium independent proteins that are also involved in formation of adherence junctions. So this is how that these proteins are involved in formation of adherence junctions. Now these catenin proteins they are also called as plaque proteins, and these plaque proteins they are helpful in interacting with the cadherin as well as with the the actin microfilament or cytoskeletal network of the neighboring cells. Now, apart from the cadherin catenin adhesive unit, another adhesive unit is also present in the adherence junctions, that is a nectin aphidine adhesive unit. Nectin is a immunoglobulin-like protein of which extracellular domain interacts with the neighboring cells nectin unit or a nectin protein. So this nectin-nectin interaction is a homophilic or it may be a heterophilic interaction which forms a cell-cell contact. Now the cytoplasmic domain of this nectin interacts with the kind of a protein that is known as a aphidine protein, and this aphidine protein in turn interacts with the actin cytoskeleton of the that particular cell. So this is how that there is a kind of a nectin-nectin adhesive unit that is present along with the cadherin catenin adhesive unit in a neighboring cells. Now it has been also found that these nectin formation or nectin-nectin interaction is very important for formation of this cadherin catenin adhesive unit during the development. Now, one by one, we will discuss about the functions of adherence junction. The first function of adherence junction is the maintenance of a tissue architecture. As we know, in case of any kind of a tissue, the cells are attached with each other via a particular type of junctions. And these junctions, they are attached to the cytoskeleton of the cell. So that means each and every cytoskeletal network of the cell is attached with the neighboring cell's cytoskeleton. So thereby forming a kind of a physical association in between the cells. This helps in maintenance of a total tissue architecture. So this is the first function of the adherence junctions. Now the next function of adherence junction is a coordinated movement. As we know that cells of the tissue they are attached with each other by adherence junctions. Whenever the cells of the tissue moves, they the cells together they move in a coordinated fashion like this, and this is achieved by this is achieved with the help of internal attachment of these adherent junctions to the cytoskeletal framework of the each and every cell. So this is how that the total arrangement of adherent junctions and the cytoskeletal network is responsible for coordinated movement of the cells of the tissue. Now the next function of adherent junction is to facilitate cell movement. We know that during the tissue development, the tissue renewal or embryonic development, movement of cells that takes place. Now this movement of cells is supported by the adherent junctions. You can see here in this figure of neural tube formation during development. This is a sheet of neural epidermis, and this groove is created in this particular sheet by bending it. So this bending of the neural epidermis is due to the shrinking of contraction of the cytoskeleton present inside these cells. So they form a kind of a ring-like structure in the cytoskeleton with the help of the adherent junctions. And when these adherent junctions along with the actin molecule act together, it brings about the contraction of the apicolateral surfaces of the cells so that their apical surfaces get tapered, and because of that all these cells get accommodated in this particular groove, and that forms a neural tube. Now it appears that our adherent junctions, they act like a purse string, so that you can see here in this purse string, the narrowing of this particular region is achieved by the stretching of these purse string. Similar type of property is shown by adherent junction, so that these cells get shrink on the apicolateral surface and forms a tapering end. So this facilitates the formation of a neural tube during the neural tube development. So this is how that the adherence junctions are responsible for the movement of the cells. Now the next function of adherent junction is a contact dependent signal. You can see here, if a cell is a single suspended in a medium, if it is not attached to the substratum, there will be no proliferation in that particular cell. But when cells are provided with a kind of a substratum, the cells will start proliferating. This proliferation is up to the limit, but when these cells, one of the cell, if it detaches from the substratum, this cell undergoes a anoikis, that is known as a homelessness, and due to this particular cell undergoes apoptosis and this cell dies. It has been also found that up to a certain limit, this proliferation of cells that takes place in a culture, and after that you will find that these cells stops to grow or proliferate. This is known as a contact inhibition, and this contact inhibition is mediated through the proteins of adherent junctions. These are known as the catenanes. So this is how, apart from adhesion, these cadherin molecules, they are also responsible for signaling the cells to stop for proliferation. Now it has been also found that the adherent junctions are responsible for signaling of adhesion or adhesion signaling. Now when a tissue experiences a kind of a mechanical force, due to this mechanical force, a tension or a stress is created in between the adherent junctions of neighboring cells. Now, normally, in normal condition, this normal condition is also termed as homeostasis. In this, when there is no force acting, such a type of arrangement is seen in case of adherent junctions. But when these tissue, they experience a kind of mechanical stress, then this force is experienced by these adherence junctions. And due to this, or to allow that particular force to ease out, certain kinds of enforcements that were generated, that were supported, or these enforcement molecules, they again join to this particular chain of these cadherin molecules. So you can see here the vinculin is employed for easing out that particular type of tension or stress, and these vinculin molecules, they join to this particular chain of these adherence junctions on the cytoplasmic side. So this is how the new enforcement that brings about easing of the tension in between the neighboring cells adherence junctions. Now, it has been also found that it decreases the adhesion tension in between the adherent junctions. So this adhesion tension is decreased by increasing the surface area of contact in between the neighboring cells. Then it has been also found that the adhesion coupling is managed by these adherence junctions. As we know that whenever there is a, or adhesion coupling means a kind of a force that is required to separate these two cell membranes from each other. So this particular adhesion coupling is also managed by these adherence junctions. So this is how that the adhesion or adherence junctions are responsible for um, performing more functions than the simple adhesive properties. Now the next function of adherent junction is it plays a role in a cell polarity. As we know that cell polarity means the apical surface proteins are different from the basal surface proteins. So here, like tight junctions are responsible for separating the apical cell proteins from the basal cell proteins. They do not allow the movement of these basal cell proteins or basal cell plasma membrane proteins from the basal side to move to the upper side or apical side. Similarly, the adherent junctions are also responsible for separation of such type of proteins, and thus it also plays in a role of cell polarity. So you can see here the proteins of the apical surface, they are separated by these adhesion belts from the proteins of the basal surface. So this is how that the adherent junctions are also responsible for creating a cell polarity. So this is all about the adherent junction. Thank you very much for your support to my channel BAMU'S Biogenius. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel BAMU'S Biogenius for latest uploads, or like my videos, and if you have any queries, please don't hesitate to comment. So thank you.